Dear God, thank you for football. Not because it only gives us temporary entertainment, but rather, God, that you can use it in a way to bring unity to our world of division. Amen. Thank you for clicking on this video. You are a good sport. This is College Football Media. On this channel we talk college football teams, trends, and traditions all the way to logos, history, and predictions. If that sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing for in-depth college football content. Today, this week, we are talking about games from this past week. We're talking about big news out of the Big Ten that I'm sure you have all heard about, and some games for this upcoming Saturday. So let's get into it. Let's start off with Georgia Tech and Florida State. I told you that I really wanted to watch this game, and if you didn't understand before, hopefully you understand now. This was a great game. Geoff Sims at Georgia Tech will be transformative. He has all of the talent and potential in the world. And for Georgia Tech, it could really revolutionize their program over the next potentially 5 years. Remember, because this year eligibility won't count, so he'll be a true freshman next year again. So Geoff Sims will be fun to watch at Georgia Tech, and really could reset how people nationally think about the Yellow Jackets. On the field, he's a true freshman. He made mistakes. That comes with the territory. You kind of expect that. But he has talent and he has potential. Will he fulfill his potential? I hope he does. I hope we can see his full potential. And that just remains to be seen of how the coaches develop him over the next 4, 5, 3 years, however long he stays at Georgia Tech. He had some tendencies and some flashes that reminded me of Lamar Jackson when I was watching the game, which, granted, I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Lamar Jackson, don't get me wrong, but again, this is, we're talking about the ceiling for Geoff Sims. We're talking about the potential that he has, and it is very exciting to see. And it's a first look, a glimpse of what the program of Georgia Tech can become. You probably remember one of the first videos that I ever made on this channel that was really big was Dear Georgia Tech, and thanking them for changing their coach effectively, not running triple option anymore, and you're beginning to see the first fruits of what Georgia Tech could be under Geoff Collins, and even if the coach changes in the future, of what that program can actually utilize in the city of Atlanta. So a lot of excitement that you were able to see Saturday of the future of Georgia Tech. Conversely, Florida State, the future of that program, is still completely remains to be seen. I saw Florida State on Saturday and I saw passion, I saw potential, I saw new life breathed into the program. However, it's Mike Norvell's first season at Florida State. So it seemed like that there was already a better atmosphere just from the players, but they have to relearn how to win, or maybe for the first time, learn how to win. So Mike Norvell still has a long way to go, but the blame shouldn't necessarily be on him. Frankly, I kind of expected Georgia Tech to win the game. Now, the way it started off, Florida State started off really hot, and it changed in the second half. But Mike Norvell, this is his first season. He really didn't even have a full off season. That happens with a coaching change anyway, but because of the pandemic, there really was no camp for Norvell to set everything into motion. So really everything is starting to form and starting right now for Florida State. The future still remains to be seen, but there was some hope, some glimpses of what Florida State, the passion that they could be in learning how to win. Now they have to learn how to finish. But everything's at the beginning. It's like trying to put ingredients together in a pot, but you don't have an oven yet. So Florida State, both of these programs are forward-looking. You're looking at the future. And it's a lot more evident and easier to see at Georgia Tech currently, and hopefully that will come at Florida State eventually. They're just not as far along. Again, Mike Norvell's first season, Geoff Collins is in his second or third. A quick comparison for Mike Norvell at Florida State, it kind of reminds me of Jeremy Pruitt's first season at Tennessee. where you don't see results in that first year, but you're trying to plant the seeds for the future. And granted, Tennessee was in a worse position as a program culturally than Florida State is currently, but there's still some comparisons that you can draw there, that you have to learn how to win and how to operate internally before you can see results on the field, and that takes time. Now, also granted, the SEC is a harder situation to win in because it's a more competitive conference, whereas the ACC is a lot more wide open. So just a comparison that I thought I would share. Now let's move on to the Big Ten, the big news out of the week. We're having football. Big Ten is playing. They're going to start late in October and have just enough time, literally only just enough time, to get 8 games in the season. But hey, 8 games is a lot better, and I mean a lot better, than no games. It's been widely covered about how bad this decision-making process was in the Big Ten, and they're kind of trying to backtrack on that. And so I'm not saying that like anything that they've done has been smooth. Definitely not. Been a lot of inaction and therefore shows inadequacy within the leadership over this past month, and making premature decisions and then not giving any information about why and what and who and when. Communication is key. That's a phrase for life, and frankly that has been lacking in the Big Ten for a month, because the coaches, players, nobody knew what was going on. Nobody had reasons, nobody had communication. Hopefully that changes for the Big Ten, and I want to see football. I'm cheering for the Big Ten. I want to see football out of the conference. It's the higher-ups that I still, frankly, and not many people trust with the situation, but very, very happy to see the decision being made, because everybody was able to see now the Big Ten looked like fools. They just did. I'm not saying whether the decision is right or wrong of to play or not to play, but they looked foolish, like they made a premature decision, and it took way too long for them to act in response to it. But they have now, so give them credit. They have acted in response to it now, and I'm very much looking forward to see Ohio State, Justin Fields, the rest of the Big Ten, Penn State, Michigan, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, name who you want, Michigan State. Looking forward to seeing it, and you get 8 games. There's no room for error. No room for error. They have stricter guidelines within the conference in order to play this season, and you can find that, you can look at it yourself. They have stricter guidelines than, say, the SEC, ACC, whoever else. And they're going to have less time to do it. You have only 8 weeks. And that's 2 less games. So if one game gets postponed or canceled, if it gets postponed, you can't really make it up. So then that leaves, what, a 7-0 Ohio State? 6-1? 6-0? Is that team really going to be comparable to a 1-loss or a 2-loss SEC, ACC? I think you understand what I'm talking about. So they'll have enough time to make the playoff, but once you start to stack the resumes, depending if the Big Ten can get all 8 of those games played, it's going to be an interesting discussion. But I'm very happy to see football. Looking in the future, we'll see what the Pac-12 is able to do. Mountain West, maybe the MAC, we'll see. So some other things are trying to churn and start and maybe have some football in some other conferences too. Better step for the Big Ten. It hurts the group of 5. That's for sure. It definitely hurts the group of 5. But it's still the best scenario the group of 5 has had to make the playoff up to this point. So pros, cons, based on different places that you're looking and where you kind of point the spotlight of what you're focusing on. But yeah, very, very happy to see the Big Ten be able to play. Very much looking forward to it. Want to see them on the field. Bonus piece of conversation before we jump to games for this coming week. Georgia, the Georgia Bulldogs revealed some alternate uniforms for this 2020 season. They look really, really good. I've wanted Georgia to bring back their black jerseys for forever now. I've wanted them to bring those back literally forever. As far back as I can remember. The first time I saw them, Like, those alternate uniforms are some of my favorite in college football. Hands down, period. And they finally brought them back, and they look incredible. They also have another set dating back in honor of their 1980 national championship, the 40-year anniversary for that championship at Georgia. I'm looking forward to seeing those uniforms on the field, and I hope they don't go away after 2020. Okay, enough of that. Now let's talk about games for this upcoming week. First, Houston at Baylor. That should be a fun game. American Conference versus the Big 12. Of course, the Big 12 had a terrible week on the field last week, getting beat by all Sunbelt teams. Yeah, Sunbelt consensusly is probably considered the worst conference in the FBS. 3 of their teams beat the Big 12 last week. Not a good look. Now you're going up against Houston in the American Athletic Conference, who likes to consider themselves a Power 6 conference, which you can play with the numbers there this year because it's all kind of off. Fun anyway. But yeah, Baylor, Houston. Should be a fun game. Of course, Baylor had an amazing year last year. Their coach is now gone, so I really don't know what to see. Don't really know what to look for, and that's what makes it interesting. This game could go either way. No idea how it's going to unfold. Therefore, very entertaining to watch. Georgia Tech and UCF. This will be another fun game. UCF, I believe, is traveling to Georgia Tech. And UCF, ever since 2017, has been on the map for people, also in the American Athletic Conference. If you lose this game, you lose your shot at the playoff if you're UCF. I mean, Georgia Tech isn't really in playoff mode right now. Like, that's not their scale currently. But UCF, it's relatively in their scale. So UCF, you have to win if you want to continue to have a shot at the playoff, and you pretty much have to go undefeated to have a good chance. But it could happen. Georgia Tech, again, I'm just excited to see Jeff Sims, that offense, what they can do, throwing the ball, running the ball, just how they look as a team. How do you match up against UCF? You were able to beat a Florida State team that, again, people probably had higher expectations for than they probably should have. What do you do next? What do you do against a UCF or only out of conference game? How do you look? So, very entertaining. Again, future focused if you're Georgia Tech. Entertaining game on the field this week, nonetheless. The big game, Miami at Louisville. This game will be fun to watch. The Aaron King, the transfer from Houston to Miami, at quarterback, traveling to Louisville, who has a good quarterback themselves. Louisville is ahead of where people thought they would be based on last year. They overachieved last year, and now this year everybody's like, hey, they're good. You know, it's a good team. Will they be able to beat Clemson or Notre Dame? Probably not, but a good team nonetheless, and they're favored in the game, which is interesting. I think some other people, like at 24/7 Sports, see Miami should be the favorite. So we'll see, but a fun game, and the winner of this game is 2-0. It's that simple. Yeah, the winner is 2-0. So that means either they're legitimate and you'll get some overreactions that they are, and then you'll also have the other side of the coin where they're 2-0, but that's just because they played another team and somebody had to win. And so they could still be a bad team that's sitting at 2-0 who won a big game, and then you have higher expectations than what they should be. So either way, it's a fun game this Saturday. If Miami wins, if you remember last week, I think Miami has a very good chance to make the ACC championship game this year. It starts right here. You have to win this game. Same for Louisville, honestly. If you want to have a chance at that, you got to win this game. All starts now. Huge game. It'll be fun to watch the offenses go back and forth. Therefore, it'll probably end up being the better defense that wins the game. I'm not sure if there's fans in the stands for this game. If there is, that should be relatively a factor. But again, it's still not normal circumstances. So take with that what you will. But this game is the number one game that I'm looking forward to watching this Saturday. All right, I'm done for this video. Thank you so much for watching, for taking time out of your day, choosing to watch this video. So if you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. That really helps me out, and consider subscribing for in-depth college football content. Check me out on other social medias, some past videos, and I will have more continuing throughout the season this year in 2020. So again, thank you for watching. Until next time, be goody now.